Today on Bridge City News, the city of Calgary got some welcome news today as the World Petroleum Council voted to hold the World Petroleum Congress in Calgary in 2023. Protesters in Victoria gathered to say the federal government's approval of the Trans Mountain Pipeline expansion won't stop efforts to scuttle the project. And Canada's Women's World Cup soccer team prepares for a crucial game against Sweden tomorrow.
Your nation, your province, your southern Alberta. From the heart of Lethbridge, it's Bridge City News with Paul Arthur.
Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us. Jason Lewin, Alberta's Associate Minister of Mental Health and Addictions, has announced that the Calgary Health Region will expand its successful recovery college model to more communities across the province, including Lethbridge.
What's more exciting is coming in September, 2 more sites will be in Lethbridge and Red Deer. This will give a large access to many Albertans for this important resource to help them live full and satisfying lives. This innovative recovery college model is one of the ways we can all work together to make it easier for Albertans to get the support they needed for their long-term recovery. Today, 1 in 5 Albertans will experience mental illness or addiction in their life. Many will continue to live with mental health and addiction challenges throughout their lives. The goal for recovery is learning how to live a life that is satisfying, hopeful, and contributing. And to me, that's an increased sense of citizenship. For those reasons, the government of Alberta is committed, working hard to eliminate the barriers to recovery for families in Alberta.
The Lethbridge and Red Deer sites will open this September. The Edith Cavell Care Centre in Lethbridge is making good use of their new tandem-to-wet bicycle, and it's a hit with the residents. The goal is to ease symptoms of depression. The front of the bike acts like a wheelchair, and the back part allows staff to safely pedal a patient wherever they may want to go, or an electric motor can also be used. The bikes aren't cheap, with a price of around $17,000. But donations from the Royal Canadian Poppy Fund, General Stewart Branch, and the Royal Bank Foundation made the project possible. Calgary received a welcome boost today as the World Petroleum Council voted to hold the World Petroleum Congress in Calgary in 2023. The last time Calgary hosted the event was back in 2000. Held once every 3 years, the Congress will bring some of the most influential movers and shakers in the energy industry from 65 member countries, giving Alberta and Canadian companies an opportunity to promote oil and gas investments, technology, and environmental stewardship. SaskTel is apologizing for an error with its home and business security system service that sent out a false tornado warning. Environment Canada issued funnel cloud advisories yesterday morning, but not a tornado warning, which the agency says means at least one tornado is imminent, as indicated by reports and radar scans. SaskTel spokesman Greg Jacobs says the inaccurate alert was issued by the Alarm.com weather notification service, a third-party company used by the Crown Corporation and other security providers across Saskatchewan. Jacobs says it's unclear how many people received the erroneous alert. Protesters on Vancouver Island say the federal government's approval of the Trans Mountain Pipeline expansion last week won't stop efforts to scuttle the project. About 300 people gathered at Victoria City Hall yesterday before marching along a 22-kilometer route to Island View Beach, led by Indigenous drummers. Premier John Horgan says the province will continue challenging the pipeline expansion in court.
As the pipeline route is being unveiled, so is the real numbers of the missing and murdered people. With the report that came out, both Canada and the United States should be ashamed. They should be ashamed of themselves. Because not only are we killing all the species that live in the oceans and depend on water for life, they're also killing our two-legged brothers and sisters. That's a shameful thing. That is the price that we're paying as Indigenous people. We're paying with our lives. How we treat our brothers and our sisters is a reflection of how we treat our Mother Earth.
Ontario Premier Doug Ford boasted about his government's accomplishments while slamming his Liberal predecessors when he addressed the crowd yesterday at the annual Ford Fest barbecue in Markham, Ontario. But the PC party has been slumping in the polls lately, and Ford's personal popularity has also taken a hit following a budget that contained some unpopular cuts.
Those who will stop at nothing to bring us down, we know that when they come at us, you are with us, and that is all that matters. I can proudly stand here today and say promises made, promises kept.
People here want to hear from the Premier about how our government is really doing some key things, how we are dealing with the deficit and getting the financial health of the province back as a priority, making sure that we're supporting education and healthcare, and making sure that we're not putting more of a tax burden on Ontarians. And they also want to meet the people that are involved in it, and they want to give us their ideas.
He's investing in health and education, which is not what we're hearing. So it was really good to hear straight from his mouth that he's investing in those things. And as long as he's continuing and to support the frontline worker, that's going in the right direction.
The mayor of Port Hawkesbury, Nova Scotia, has written to Justin Trudeau about her, quote, grave concerns about a proposal to fund an airport to service the Cabot Links Golf Resort. Brenda Chisholm-Beaton says in her June 12th letter that it's irresponsible to encourage the creation of a second airport just an hour from the one near her community. A proposal from the Cabot Links Golf Resort is asking governments to help create an airport that would bring golfers closer to the Cape Breton site. Premier Stephen McNeil has said the provincial and federal governments are prepared to consider a joint infrastructure project. Air Canada says it is looking into how crew members could have disembarked from a plane without noticing a sleeping passenger who was left behind in the cold and dark after a flight to Toronto earlier this month. The passenger, Tiffany Adams, had to unbolt the cabin door to call out to ground crew personnel who came to rescue her. Air Canada employees asked if she was okay and offered a limo and hotel, but she declined the offer. The airline has apologized. The outspoken juror advocate who pushed for an amendment to the criminal code to improve mental health support for traumatized jury members is upset it didn't get past the Senate. Mark Ferrand wanted the amendment on juror secrecy, as jurors aren't allowed to ever discuss their experiences, not even with a psychologist. Ferrand expects the bill, which was unanimously supported by the Commons, will be reintroduced. Fifth-ranked Canada is preparing for a round of 16 match tomorrow in Paris with ninth-ranked Sweden at the Women's World Cup. The two teams went to a penalty shootout last time they met in March at the Algarve Cup, with Canada prevailing 6-5. Canada's captain, Christine Sinclair, expects another tight game.
Just knowing that all the work that we've put in, and if the result happens to not go our way, we're heading home. But I think we're trying very hard to just make it feel like any other day, any other game we're preparing for as best we can.
I think as a team we had a bit of a slow start, to be honest, and I think we struggled to get momentum in that game. With that being said, I think we had a better second half and created more, and we're just more sound defensively as a collective. I think we just need to come out and start strong and be a tighter team.
The loser of the game goes home, while the winner moves on to meet second-ranked Germany in the quarterfinals. Canadian astronaut David St. Jacques will return to Earth tomorrow following a 6-month mission aboard the International Space Station. A doctor for the Canadian Space Agency says the 49-year-old astronaut will undergo a long recovery as his body adjusts from weightlessness. Rafi Kuyamjian says spending 6 months in space could be like spending 6 months in bed without moving. He says it will take at least that much time for St. Jacques to fully recover from his mission. U.S. President Donald Trump has called off today's threatened roundup of millions of undocumented immigrants. The move reportedly follows a Friday night phone call from Democratic House Leader Nancy Pelosi, who asked the president to put off his immigration sweep. In response, Trump announced a 2-week delay with a tweet yesterday afternoon. Pelosi responded with her own tweet, "Mr. President, delay is welcome." U.S. National Security Advisor John Bolton is in Israel today for meetings with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on security in the Middle East. Speaking alongside Netanyahu, Bolton said Iran should not mistake U.S. prudence and discretion for weakness. Recently, the U.S. abruptly called off military strikes against Iran in response to the downing of an unmanned American surveillance drone. Ethiopia's prime minister says the head of the country's military has been shot dead in the capital, Addis Ababa. General Sier Makonnen was killed by his bodyguard at his home while he was visiting a retired army general who was also killed in the same attack yesterday. Earlier, the prime minister announced that the government had foiled a coup attempt led by a high-ranking military official. Recapping one of our top stories this hour, the city of Calgary got a welcome shot in the arm today as the World Petroleum Council voted to hold the World Petroleum Congress in Calgary in 2023. And a look at weekend weather. Cloudy this evening with a 60% chance of showers and a risk of a thunderstorm. A low of 10 overnight. For tomorrow, a mix of sun and cloud, then clouding over in the afternoon with a 60% chance of showers and again a risk of a thunderstorm. We should see a high of 19. Chiropractic care is not always seen as being mainstream, but many individuals swear by it and tout its health benefits. Hal Roberts sat down with Dr. Aaron Bridge to discuss this. That interview is straight ahead. But first, here's a look at what is happening in and around your community.
Here's your Bridge City News community calendar. Come celebrate with your Latin American neighbors at the Festival Latino Lethbridge 2019, taking place Saturday, June 29th, beginning at noon at Exhibition Grounds, Pioneer Park. Presented by the Lethbridge Latin American Association, enjoy live entertainment, dance performances, traditional Latin food, and more. All are welcome to this free event. For details, visit llaa.ca. So much to see and do on Canada Day. Come celebrate at the Galt Museum as they present an old-fashioned carnival taking place from 1 to 4 p.m. Enjoy games, entertainment, and free popcorn. There's no cost for admission. For details, visit galtmuseum.com. And that's your Bridge City News community calendar.